Welcome to Telly Talk, where we talk about what's on the telly, and by that we mean we talk about what's on our minds, because we're Telly, and for one of the first times ever, we are not talking about what's on the telly, because we're talking about a book! We're doing a
book
series! We're doing a book talk!
It's an acoustic movie. I killed it.
We are like a 5-week-long series on the book The Secret History.
Yay! I'm so excited.
I'm Tyler, and I have not read this book before, but I love the vibes of, like, you know, boys hanging out at school. Like,
you like
Dead
boys?
Poet Society and
you like boys?
You know what I'm saying?
You like boys, that's all I'm hearing.
That's what you heard. The dark academia thing.
Prestigious college boys.
Yeah. That's
brooding, gay, and suicidal. That's all I'm hearing.
Yeah, literally. That's like
that's your
what
vibe.
I like. And that's what you told me this book was, and I was like, let's fucking do it.
And you judge me for liking my mustache men.
Yes. Case closed.
I'm Soul, and this is my second time reading this book in 6 months. I've only read this book twice, and I read it once, and I loved it. It's not my favorite book in the entire world. I usually don't like this writing style, because it's very slow and dense, but it's so filled with curiosity, because the main character is kind of just as curious as you are. And so you're reading this, and he's asking all these questions, and is like, this is happening? And like, why is this happening? And like, well, there's something else going on here. And you're just like, yes, there's something else going on here, and I want to know everything. And you just keep reading, and you can't stop. And it's so good. It's so good.
This book is captivating. It's written like a classic. I didn't know this until I started it, but it's like a thriller.
Yes.
It captures you right from the get-go, and it's written so beautifully. Like, it reminds me of like the way that Stephen King writes, kind of, but it's also like kind of like a classic with how the prose is formed.
Yes. The way I'm reading this, the first time I read this book, I just read it like flat all the way through. And it was kind of slow at some points, and I kind of struggle with it sometimes.
You must be understanding this book so good on a second read-through, because I bet, like, all the things that I'm confused about, I'm like, what does this mean? You're like, this connects.
Yeah, you said you had, like, 20 tabs a chapter, and I have, like, literally over 100.
Oh my god.
Like, I spent 8 hours making this.
I highlighted a fuck ton in this book, but I only put, like, 20 tabs in.
I made a mind map, which you guys are probably looking at right now, and it consists of everything that I marked down, all the character descriptions, all like this important plot points about these characters, the connections with each character, and we're gonna go through it a little later on. But the second time I read this, I listened to the audiobook alongside reading it, and so it helped me like read it faster, and it helped me understand it better. Also, the author, Donna Tartt, she read the audiobook, and so you get to see how she voices her own characters. And
so
the
cool.
way that she voices some of these characters is like so weird, because she makes Richard like super like brooding and monotone, which I didn't really picture for him. I thought he would just be like kind of like normal guy, and I pictured more. Whoa, did you hear that?
No.
Crazy lightning. I pictured Henry as the more like brooding monotone, which he was kind of similar, but like he was more like alive, which is weird for him because he seems more like the dead one. And then Bunny has this like fuck ass annoying ass voice that I hate, but it fits his character perfectly. And it fits his character description perfectly, because in the book she describes his voice as like a loud like honking voice, and the way she does it is so, I hate every time she talks. I just hate it. And it helped me read the book better, because as I was reading it, I could mark tabs and like write things down as she continued reading it. And I love it. It's so good. You know how some people want, like, books to be turned into movies? I think this book should not be turned into a movie. Like, this is one of the only books that I believe should not be a movie. But they should do what Audible did with 1989. What was it? 1984? 1989?
1984?
1984? George Orwell?
Yeah. 1989 is a Taylor Swift album.
Shit. 1984. I always mix up the dates. Where
one
Audible
of
did
them's
a
a Taylor Swift album. One of them is a classic novel. Which one's which?
I don't know. Audible did a version of 1984 where it was essentially like listening to a movie, but without like the visual stance. So they had like voice actors for each character. They had a narrator, and they had like a soundtrack for it, and they had sound effects and everything. It was literally like you were listening to a movie. And it was so cool, and I think this book would be really good for it, because I think it's too
This wouldn't translate to a movie. At all.
Bland.
This could translate to a show, but it would have to be narrated by, like, it would have to be a show with a narrator, because you need to get Richard's inner thoughts. Like, that's important.
Yeah.
That's why Percy Jackson doesn't translate well to the screen. Like, the Percy Jackson show, while it's great, it has a very different vibe than the book, because it just shows what happens, but the book is funny and lighthearted and playful because it's narrated by Percy, and Percy's a funny 12-year-old. But Percy doesn't narrate the show, really. And the show is like, holy shit, this is dark, because you don't get the funny inner monologue that Percy constantly has going on, and that's why Percy Jackson doesn't translate well to the screen. And this would have to be done in such a particular way that it would be glorious to watch on screen.
I think it would be better as just like a visual, like an audiobook type thing that Audible did. I just don't think I just think it's too boring, because they just sit in like 4 different places all the time. Like, there's 4 different settings. You have
the entire book
Julian's
is just
classroom,
them sitting.
the countryside home, somebody's house, and then just like the woods.
That's the so
like,
much of the book also is in things not happening. Like, things happen, but you don't actually get to see them happen. You just get to hear Richard be like, and then time passed, and during that time passing, we did this, this, and this. And you're like, okay, I guess
it'll all make sense later on. I feel like we have to preface so this episode we've read the first 2 chapters, which is about 100 pages in. We are gonna read 2 chapters until the very end. I believe there's only 8 chapters in this book. They're super long though. Like, some of these chapters are like 50 pages long.
Yeah, they're about 50
which is crazy, Donna.
Each.
Like, Jesus Christ. So we're gonna read about 2 chapters an episode. We're gonna talk about them. We're gonna give our predictions, our reactions, our character analyses, our lore expansions. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. So far, like I said, when nothing happens, I was gonna say, like, you should tell us the plot, but so far it's like, it's less of a plot and more of an exposition.
Yeah, nothing's really happening.
There's no plot
yet. I'm gonna be honest with you, nothing really happens until like chapter 5.
And it's great, because
chapter like 4.
I love slice of life, and that's like, it's like
this is perfect for you.
Because like, my least favorite part about like series that I like Percy Jackson and Harry Potter, is that something is always happening relevant to the plot, and I'm like, man, I just want to see them go to their classes and hang out. Like, that's what I want. And then that's what's happening for like the first half of this book, is they're just going to class and hanging out. So this is great.
So it's really just like, well, actually, I don't want to spoil anything. I can't. So I've already read this book, and I'm trying so hard not to spoil anything.
So,
because I've read it so recently, I kind of remember everything.
It's hard for you to separate.
So I'm kind of
like,
I'm literally just sticking to my map. If it's not on my map, I cannot say it. So I cannot say a lot of things that I want to.
My understanding of this book is that from the very first thing we learn is that there's a guy named Bunny, and he dies. And
Yes.
my understanding is that this book is telling the story of how we got there. It's like when a TV show has like something crazy going on, there's like a record scratch and the narrator's like, that's me right there about to get arrested. You're probably wondering how I got in this situation. That's my understanding of the book.
That's essentially what the prologue is. So the prologue is kind of giving you like the gist of like what this story is going to be about. It's about how his friend Bunny had been dead. There's a huge search for him going on throughout the whole like upper northeast. He went missing. We don't know why or how he died. But we just know that him and his friends were looking for him. We do know a few things. I'm surprised that you're not really like suspecting anything.
Okay,
because in this, what?
Can I read 3 sentences from the prologue?
Yes.
I would just like to say that I think it's so important for a book to have a good opening sentence, and this book has a killer opening sentence. You want that shit to grab you right away, and it does. It captures you, and it doesn't let you go. The prologue starts. The snow in the mountains was melting, and Bunny had been dead for several weeks before we came to understand the gravity of our situation. That's so beautifully written.
Fantastic.
And it's so simple, and it's so compelling. Then
the first sentence in the audiobook was like a popular sound bite on TikTok. Like people would play it and then put in the headcanons or like lore on TikTok. I watched so much TikTok about this book.
Then the sentence of the second paragraph is thickens. It thickens the plot immediately. You don't know, like it's like plot, more plot, and then the entire chapters 1 and 2.
You don't even know the main character's name yet.
You don't know the main character's name, and then the second paragraph goes, "It is difficult to believe that Henry's modest plan could have worked so well despite these unforeseen events." What? And then the next
What?
What? Anyway, then the last sentence of the prologue is also beautiful. The last paragraph, it's, "I suppose at one time in my life I might have had any number of stories, but now there is no other. This is the only story I will ever be able to tell." That's beautiful.
Yes.
I'm
And
obsessed with the prologue.
I just want to say, I didn't understand the title of this book until I got to part 2, which is like 300 pages in or something.
God.
And I realized that because I originally thought this book was about the secret history of like this group of college kids like discovering this secret of like Greek history or something like that.
The prologue,
because that's what it was kind of advertised like to me.
The prologue gave me the
and then I
impression
realized
that it was like the history, like, because it's like this guy is dead and like they had something to do with it, and it's like that's why it's like him telling how they got there. Like it's a secret.
Yeah, it's
like,
their secret history.
Because he has history with this group of people, and it's a secret. And yeah.
Yes. So he's.
I love it.
It's him. It's in the beginning of chapter 1. He introduces himself as Richard Papin, and he's 28 years old. So at 28 years old, he's sitting down and writing this book about how he went to Hampden College in Vermont when he was 19 and met these group of people and became friends with them, and what came of that. And what came of that was his friend Bunny dying, who is a member of this group. But before we move on from the prologue, I want you to read the second sentence of the second paragraph of the prologue.
I almost read it out loud, and I was like, no, I said I was only going to read 3. We hadn't intended to hide the body where it couldn't be found.
And what do you think about that?
Unclear if he accidentally died and they feel really fucking guilty about it because they had to do with the accident, or if they killed him on purpose.
Interesting.
Did they kill him on purpose and want it to look like an accident, or did he die on accident, but it was like kind of their fault, so they're like, shit.
I can't say anything.
Is one of those correct?
So you think that?
Here?
So you think that They killed Bunny.
Yes, like that's clear. Like the next paragraph is, it's difficult to believe that such an uproar took place over an act for which I was partially responsible. Like,
Yes.
Bunny died and it's their fault. I just don't know if it was an accident or not. But either way, they want to make it look like an accident,
Yeah.
because they'll get in trouble either way. I just don't know if they intended to murder him.
Maybe they weren't even directly involved at all. They were just
Well,
like indirectly involved in the situation and then end up finding the body and being like, ooh, now we have to hide the body, but maybe we don't because like we're already here, but we also didn't do anything to the crime scene, so maybe we should just leave. I don't know. It wasn't a spoiler, by the way.
It just they had something to do with it because of it has to do with Henry's comment later, which we're gonna get to in chapter 2. We're not there yet, but what Henry says in chapter 2, like, that's related to it, right?
I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, should we go over? Should we introduce the characters?
Yes.
Okay. So we have the main character, Richard Pappen.
He narrates it.
He is the narrator of this story. He is from California. He comes from a poor family. His mom works as like a secretary at a chip factory, and his dad owns a gas station. He's pretty poor. He originally went to a small community college in his town in California. He's from Plano, California, which is somewhere like outside of LA. He originally went to community college for pre-med, but then ended up switching to English literature without telling his parents. And then I don't know why he dropped out of that college or why he transferred to Hampton. But he
wanted to fucking leave California, and he found this pretty place.
Yeah, he rediscovered this like pamphlet for Hampden College, realized he wanted to go here, but it's like super expensive, super like prestigious. All these pretentious learners go there to do their shit. And so honestly, he filed all the paperwork by himself and got a bunch of financial aid and loans to be able to afford to go to college there, and took a bus all the way there from California to Vermont, and just like kind of abandoned his parents. He does send his mom postcards every once in a while just to like, as like a life check, but he's an only child. He went there not knowing anybody. Well, technically he kind of knew, he knows a few people actually, but he wanted to study English literature. I believe he transferred there for English literature, right? Because it doesn't really like tell what his major was before he tried to switch to Greek. But he discovered that when he was trying to figure out classes with his counselor was the French professor named Dr. George Laforge.
Love him.
Lafoy? Lafoy.
He's funny.
George Lafoy. He's the French professor. He's Richard's counselor at the time. And he's described as a long nostril-nosed man like a turtle's, and only smiled and pressed his fingers together when he was talking
I
to
like how
Richard.
he's like,
So he's
any
like
student who wants to learn French can take my class, because Julian's like, I don't give a fuck who wants to learn Greek, I will have 5 students, no more. Fuck everyone else, I'm pretentious.
Yeah. And Richard discovered that there was a Greek major and wanted to study Greek because he studied Greek for 2 years when he was, I think, in like high school or something. And he really enjoyed Greek and the classics and stuff like that. And so he tried to switch into Greek, but the counselor was like, no, he's like, it's like a closed off major, like you can only get in if you talk to the professor himself and like convince him to get into his classes, but he only takes a specific number of students, and it's already like filled out. And Richard was like, I'm gonna go talk to him. And so he goes and finds Professor Julian Morrow, who is the Greek professor. He is a guy. Let me tell you, this section in my map it was the largest section that I started out with when I was building it. It was he's a guy. He's described as a charming, distinguished scholar with snow white hair and a small, wise face. He is around 6 feet tall, I want to say, probably between like 5'9" and 6 feet tall. He is elven, upsweep eyebrows, deft lines of the eyes, mouth, and nose depicting age. Yet his facial expressions and I guess his voice kind of present him as a younger, more excitable person, because the way he speaks, he is like bright-eyed, and he has a very pleasant, like kind voice. And the way he speaks, he's kind of like excited and like magical about like the way he talks. He just like loves talking about Greek literature.
I don't like that he thinks he's
ancient
right about
history.
everything. Like, he thinks he's the authority
I don't like
on
that either.
everything. Like, it's like his opinion is the correct one, and I don't like that in a person, and it annoys me to read. But he is quite charming. Like, I feel like I want to have a conversation with him, and I think I would enjoy it. But like, it pisses me off.
I think I would like to only talk about like what the studies and not his like ideologies.
Because I've never studied the Greek language, but I studied pretty extensively Greek literature and Greek history. Like, I took an entire year's worth of classes in both of them, and it's like, it felt like I had a fucking minor in it. So, like, I know my shit.
Well, you would love this
Yeah.
guy. So Richard tries to go talk to him, and he's like, hey, yeah, sorry, I only have maximum of 5 students, and all those seats are filled. Like, I can't let anyone else in. He also isolates his students from everyone else in the college. Like, they take like 3 to 4 classes with Julian every semester, and they take like 1 or 2 other classes outside
Page
of him
31.
that he himself.
Page 31.
What? Yes. He
That's
if you're following along.
If you guys are following along, this is page 31 in the book.
Yes. He allows like them to take 1 or 2 classes outside of him, under his authority. Like, he picks his classes out. It's usually French with George Lafoy. I think it's George Lafoy. I don't know if it's George Laforge. I don't know if it's George Lafoy. I don't care. I'm not a French person.
Yeah, he lets him take French and Latin outside of himself. Well, actually, he might be the one teaching him Latin. It's just right after he says, like, he'll let him take French with the other guy, because
yeah,
he's like he'd be better at teaching it than me. Like, I'll let you have another teacher for that. But like, I love page 31 when they're just describing how this is gonna work. It's like a fucking cult. Like, it's not. I don't agree with the fact that he thinks it's better to only have one teacher. He literally says, and I quote, "I believe that having a great diversity of teachers is harmful and confusing for a young mind. In the same way, I believe that it is better to know one book intimately than 100 superficially. I know the modern world tends not to agree with me, but after all, Plato only had one teacher, and Alexander." And like, he's so well spoken that, like, even though I disagree with him, it's like, I like reading his words.
You can read 100 books and still know one super
Right,
intimately at the same time.
I don't get why he thinks so black and white.
I do like the fact that he does hold his classroom, his classes in his office, because he thinks that students work better in a non-scholastic environment, meaning like a closed off, like isolated, bland classroom. Because I definitely learn better when I'm in a like a stimulating environment.
I love how he holds his classes in his office. It's like, oh, I really like that. I have such mixed feelings about him.
He has an entire building to himself called the Lyceum, which is like an old, like overgrown, building that is like pretty much disguised into its environment, so you kind of just like forget about it, and it's kind of, you just miss it all the time.
You know what's so pretentious?
He has that whole
building.
building.
He writes his E's in with like the Greek letter.
Yeah,
That's so pretentious.
But I feel like he's definitely a guy who writes in all caps, so it's kind of
understandable. I love the classic culture, and like he embodies that like in his environment, just like the classical aesthetic, and I love that so much, but he pisses me off.
He has a whole building to himself, and there's multiple classrooms in the building, but he only keeps his classes in his office, and his office is described as like, I'm picturing he has his classes in like the highest room in the building, and it's like a dome shit. And it has like a glass ceiling, but it's like tinted glass, and this is what it's described as is in the book.
Oh my god,
and, like,
this would be so pretty to see this as like a show.
It's described as it's airy and light with tall ceilings, super tall bookshelves, big round table for discussions. It smells like tea, flowers, and ink, and it has decorated with oriental rugs, porcelains, and paintings. And I'm picturing also plants, just so many plants, because I feel like this is like a dream office. I say that I want my
office to be like this.
I'm just picturing, like, to me, Julian, I assigned his color as like a light blue, and that's what I picture the color of his office as.
That's like,
yes, it's like rich green because of the plants and like the oldness of the office.
The color you did for Francis's countryside home, like almost that, but like, you know that Home Alone green? You know that like Home Alone green? It's like really rich, but like with a hint of blue in it. Yes. I love that. I pictured the light blue just because of like the light airiness and like the brightness of his like personality and his voice, and just like his room. His office also has like a tiny little kitchen that's described as the size of like a little closet. Why he's so yeah, he somehow can cook 4-course meals out of the closet. Magician. He's a wizard.
Which is crazy. I think he's so cool. I think I would love to just chat with him and like sit. He definitely has a fireplace in his office.
Oh yeah, I picture like a big room with bookshelves and like
a little furnace,
and then there's like a fireplace on the left wall, and like his desk in the back, and there's like couches and chairs in the middle, and then like a round work table on the right side.
It just sounds so comfy. It has
oh my god.
It has like the windowsill with the seating that you can like sit at. Like whenever I picture like the first time Richard walks in the classroom and everyone's like kind of just sitting around, I picture like two of the students like sitting on the windowsill, like one's looking out the window, one's like reading a book, like Henry's sitting at the desk like scribbling away, and then like Francis is sitting on the windowsill, and like Camilla's reading a book, and Charles is like just sitting on like a sofa, just like chilling, and Bunny's like walking around the room just like yapping about some random ass drama. Yes, and it's like chilly in there. Oh, it's like always just a little bit chilly. It's perfect. I want it to be real so bad. Oh my god, I forgot the most important thing about Julian. So the thing that makes him like suspicious is that he refuses payment from everyone. He does not get paid by the school to teach there. He only takes $1 for tax purposes. We don't know anything about him. Like his life is super secretive about like where he's from, why he's teaching there, like who he is as a person. And I have
his love of classics is like cult like he's like, I need to indoctrinate the children into classics.
Yeah. On page 17, before Richard approaches Julian, he starts asking people around the school, like, what have you heard about Julian? And so some people, a bunch of people gave him a bunch of rumors that could be true, could not be true. Some people say that he's super smart, like super brilliant. Other people say that he's a fraud, he has no college degree. He became a great intellectual within his 40s, so we know he's older than 40. I'm picturing him about 60 or 70.
I was picturing him like 50.
68 maybe. That's
you're right. Like,
but he has
I
like
know.
snow white hair, and
everything
he
indicates
looks
that
older.
he's like 65. I was just picturing him like 55 anyway. I just picture him different than he's described.
Yeah, I get
he's
that.
So charming. He
some
feels like
people
he has to
say-
be young to me. Like, he's so assertive and charming.
I feel like he just has like a young mind,
so
and for
bright.
some reason it's like untapped.
Like, he
Like,
doesn't
I feel
feel like
he-
a wise old man. Like, he feels like he's still in his prime.
Yes. That describes him perfectly.
We're cooking here, man.
Some other students have said that he's friends with Ezra Pound and T.S. Eliot. I believe those are authors. He has family money that comes from a partnership in a white shoe banking firm, or from the purchase of a foreclosed property during the Depression. Some people say that he dodged the draft in some war, though Richard quotes, "This chronologically is difficult to compute, so doubt that's true." Others said that he had ties with the Vatican. Others said that he was a disposed royal family in the Middle East. Richard says, "The degree of truth of any of this was, of course, unknowable, but the more that I heard about it, the more interested I became, and I began to watch him and his little group of pupils around campus. 4 boys and a girl. There were nothing so unusual at a distance. At a close range, though, they're an arresting party to me."
So we're about to describe the 5 students, and I just want to say that basically Richard is just so obsessed with them. Like, he just finds their qualities as people to be so attractive, and he wants to be like them, like, so bad.
He wants them so bad, platonically.
In every way.
He wants to
become them. He wants to fuck all of them. He's weird. He's a weirdo.
Especially Francis.
Wants to fuck all of them.
I mean, what? Especially Henry. Especially
like
Henry.
every page it switches who the especially is. Every page. He is just like, he just finds them to be so like compelling and captivating, and like he just like gets this little obsession with them, and he wants to like know everything about them, and it really just, he just really values the classic aesthetic. And he comes from such like a shitty upbringing, which he lies about. Like, he just made up a nicer upbringing for himself and tells everyone that. And
yes, he hides the fact that he's poor from everyone, even Julian.
Like, he's like, being part of this group would make him appear even more like well-educated and rich, which he like wants to give off that impression. Like the old money vibe is what he wants to emulate, and he likes people seeing him in that way, and these people give off that vibe, and because they're so exclusive in the way they dress and the way they act and what they study, and he's like, I need to be a part of this.
Yes, I think he only directly lies to Bunny about his past, because Bunny was kind of drilling him questions about who he is, and he lied about saying that he comes from like an oil family, and he goes into being like, well, my dad technically is in oil because he owns a gas station, but he's not in oil, if you know what I mean. Like, he doesn't own an oil rig, but he convinces Bunny that he is, owns oil, and I think that's like really the only time he really says anything about himself.
Which
he
they think is intriguing too. Later we find out that like they're almost just as interested in him as he is in them, because they're like, this. He finds them captivating because they're cool.
Because he's so mysterious.
And they find him captivating because he's so mysterious. But he's not even trying to be mysterious. He just doesn't want to share anything about himself because he's such a loser compared to them. But it's coming off as like cool and mysterious. And so, like, they're, like, into it.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's why they invite him
He
everywhere.
comes off so differently than we see him because we get his inner. This is why it wouldn't translate to the screen well unless he narrated it. It's just like Percy Jackson. Percy Jackson looks fucking terrifying. Like, Percy Jackson is so powerful and, like, brooding. But we get his point of view, and he's just a goofy guy. And this is like that. Like, he's such a loser from our point of view because we get all of his inner thoughts. But, like, to them, he's, like, intriguing and, like, confident and mysterious. And he's not, even a little bit.
He low-key gives Robert Pattinson Batman. Like Bruce Wayne. Like Robert Pattinson Bruce Wayne. Where he's like cool and mysterious on the outside, but in reality he's just a fucking loser. He's a lonely loser who just wants to be cool. And perceived as cool. But the only difference is that Bruce Wayne is rich as fuck. Is there a character you want to talk about first?
Oh my god. I want to discuss Bunny and Henry, but we need to be talking about chapter 2 for me to explain my thoughts on them. Because I have the most thoughts about Bunny and Henry.
Yeah, they're kind of the most
I have
important
very
two
little
of the group.
thoughts about Francis.
So the group...
He, like, didn't show up really at all until, like, the end.
Yeah, we don't really know much about him right now.
And then the twins are kind of in the middle, but I also have some questions about the twins. Not really the twins. I have questions about the dinner scene.
God, the twins.
You want to fuck the twins? What was that?
No, there's just... I can't tell you. There's just some weird stuff that happens.
So scared. You're scaring me right now.
You better be. So the group consists of... There's not really a leader, but there is a leader, and that leader is Henry Winter. Then we have Edmund Cochrane, also known as Bunny. And then we have Francis Abernathy. We have Charles and Camilla Macaulay. They're identical twins. And then you have the newest addition, John Richard Papin.
There's a guy in my frat named Frankie, and at some point I found out Frankie is short for Francis and not Franklin, and I thought it was funny. Like, there's a guy named Francis.
That a grown man goes by Frankie.
He's like 19.
Yeah, I guess we could just list a few more qualities about Richard. So he's 19 currently. Oh my god, I can't wait till you learn all the ages of everyone else. Because you're gonna, like, jaw drop at some of these ages.
They're all college aged, but, like, they're a little bit... Because, like...
Sure, yeah.
Richard has already done 2 years, and so it's like, this is his 3rd year of college. So, like, he's, like, 20, and...
Yes, of course.
Then I just assumed everyone else was also in about their 3rd year of college, but they've gone there the entire time, unlike Richard, so that's why they feel more experienced than him.
Of course.
But, like, some of them can drink alcohol, but I don't know what year this takes place, if they need to be 18 or 21 to drink alcohol. I want to talk about what year this takes place in, because we know that they carry cell phones, but also they didn't know about the moon landing. And
They don't have cell phones.
I don't mean, like, smartphones, but, like, I assume they had, like, some sort of phone on them, and that's how Bunny called Henry. Did he, like, go to, like, a payphone to call Henry?
No, he went to
I misunderstood.
Yeah,
I thought like, I didn't think it was a smartphone, but I thought it was, like, some sort of portable phone that he had because he was rich, and those existed. Like, because there have been forms of portable phones that have existed for a long time.
Yes. I will say this is before... Well, actually, this is probably right when portable phones have started to come out.
I just thought, like, he was rich, he had one. Essentially. Although I don't have any proof that Bunny is rich. I really am at a point where I don't think he has money.
Well, they describe his family, where his dad was a Clemson football player.
I know, it's just like, we have proof of everyone else being rich, but we don't have proof of Bunny being rich. Like, doesn't he wear, like, the same 2 small clothes every day? And, like, the way he, like...
Oh, yeah,
acted like he was gonna take him out to a fancy like meal and then was like, oh, I can't pay. Like, we don't have proof that Bunny is rich, but we do for everyone else. So I just assumed he's also like lying about something like Richard is.
I think I had your same mindset when I was first reading this book, and I will say part of it is true. He has something else going on with him that just...
But it's not related to money?
I can't say. It is and it isn't.
Okay. Wears the same brown shapeless frayed too small tweed like jacket with knee-sprung pants, like, every day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
like
that's what he wears.
That's giving he doesn't
like...
have money but wants to look nice, so he has like one jacket, like just like Richard went to like the thrift store and found like clothes that fit. Like it's giving the same thing.
There was one part where they described there was one part that they described Bunny's jacket as like having holes in it. I think it was in like chapter 2 where it actively had holes in it. Which, yeah, I don't know why he doesn't replace the jacket or buy a new one, to be honest. Maybe we'll discover that in part 2 of chapter 6. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. God, I'm so excited for this book. Okay, so, back to Richard, just closing up Richard. He first met, the first member he met was Bunny. He first spoke to Bunny in the library when he was sitting with Charles and Camilla. They were trying to figure out some Greek translation, and he helped them out with it. And then eventually Henry came, he said hi, they left. And that was the first introduction. He met everyone except for Francis, who he then met in a hallway going up, I believe, to their first class. He ran into Francis, and Francis said something to him.
I have this in my document. Let me go to my document. Page 33. Everyone, turn your books to page 33. Class.
Turn your page to page 33.
Okay.
I'm here.
Yes, you can read it.
Can I read it? Okay. So, I'm just gonna read, like, the kind of whole interaction. When I turned to the landing of the Lyceum stairs, I was shocked to see him sitting on the windowsill. I glanced at him quickly, and then quickly away, and was about to walk into the hall when he said, "Wait." His voice was cool and Bostonian, almost British. I turned around. "Are you the new Ninas?" he said mockingly. "The new young man," I said that I was. Cubitium Emus? Is that how you say it?
Cubitum Emus.
I feel like... Cubitium Emus? What? Nothing. The way the author reads this in the audiobook is so funny, because the way I read it the first time was like, Cubitium Emus? What? Nothing. And then the way she read it was like, Cubitium Emus?
Oh my god.
Like, what? He goes, nothing. Like as in, like...
That's really cute. I didn't picture him being cute like that.
Yeah. He transferred the cigarette to his left hand and offered the right one to me to shake his hand. It was bony and soft-skinned like a teenage girl's. He did not bother to introduce himself. After a brief, awkward silence, I told him my name. He took the last drag of his cigarette and tossed it out the open window. "I know who you are," he said. Henry and Bunny were in the office. Henry was reading a book, and Bunny was leaning across the table and talking to him loudly. So yeah, that was their Francis and Richard's first
I didn't look up
interaction.
This.
And
is that Greek?
New Ninas.
Latin, I figured, because he knew the Greek word but didn't know the Latin, is what I understood. And like, yeah.
Ninos means new young man. Okay, so Kubiti Emus is like a famous quote from this book. Like, you'll see like t-shirts and people like writing it all the time. Like, it's like a famous quote from this book. And essentially means like, will you go to bed with me? As in, I want to fuck you.
I didn't know that when I read it. Like, this changes everything for me. I should have looked it up, but I was just like so involved in reading it. So
Francis is gay.
I was like, I'll come back to this later.
Francis. Yeah,
Which
Francis
is funny because
gay as
Richard
fuck.
says
Um,
that to Bunny, right? Like, isn't Francis gay? And Bunny's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then we find out that Francis is dating the girl twin.
well,
Well,
it's not confirmed dating.
Seems like it seems
He
like
just
it.
he just
Don't they like
assumes
kiss
that there's
and he
something
calls
going on.
her like dear and like is I don't know during the I don't know.
Yeah, but that's just like what friends do. You know, those like. Okay, I'm just gonna say right now, not this isn't a spoiler, but this whole friend group
The whole
kind of
friend
gives
group
like
is
incestual
dating.
friends.
They're
in a
so
way.
closed off from everyone else, and they're so like homoerotic.
Oh, yes, they're all dating each other. I'm not kidding. Like they're essentially all dating each other. And you'll get more into that in part two. I think the romance and the sexual relationships between this group of people is the scariest thing about this book. I will say that right now. 100%. It's the most terrifying thing that you're gonna read. I like 100%. I'm not kidding. It traumatized me. I'm not gonna lie a little bit. It made me look at all the characters so differently after I discovered what they were doing with each other.
When do I find out?
You don't want to know. I think part 2.
I thought this was like, haha,
So,
it's
like,
like
chapter
they're
6.
gay for each other. I didn't know that things were actually happening.
Oh no, it's like, haha, oh shit, they're fucking gay for each other.
And why is Bunny homophobic?
It's like, hey man.
But
Everyone starts out
Richard
with
has a whole
internalized
thing about this where
homophobia.
he's like, at first I thought it was internalized homophobia, but then I realized it's not internalized homophobia. He just really hates gay people.
Yeah, Bunny's a bit of an outlier.
I'm
no wonder
so
he dies,
confused right now.
You know?
I want to read everything.
I just want to tell you everything.
I want to like spend all night reading this book and just consume it all. I want this book in my blood.
Let's record again tomorrow
Yes.
morning. We'll read the next 100 pages and record again tomorrow morning. This interaction with Francis, the first interaction between Richard and Francis, is like one of the most famous quotes in this book. Just because it's classical, it's fruity, it's gay, it's sexual, and it's curious because we actually don't know whether Francis understood what he was saying or not, or if he was just like saying like what is in confusion as in he understood it but he's like, why would you say that to me, or confusion as in he literally didn't understand it at all and is like, what did he say, or he like completely misheard him and like didn't hear him at all. So there's really 3 different ways you could like think about how this interaction went. I think that
Yeah, I assumed
he
he
didn't
didn't understand
understand
it
it.
because it was Latin, and he doesn't know Latin
What he said.
yet.
Yeah, that's true. Or do it. We should finish
Page
up
26.
Richard.
Everyone turn your books to page 26. I
Page
thought this was
26,
very
everyone
important for the
turns
plot of the book
26.
because, as we discussed, the prologue implies that there is either an accidental or purposeful murder death that they want to make look like an accident because they had something to do with it. Richard goes, if there's one thing I'm good at, it's lying on my
Yes.
feet. It's sort of a gift I have. He says it very casually because of this whole thing where he talks to the psychology
Yes.
professor he's working for about getting an advance on his money, saying his car broke down. And the professor was so nice. This is such a
And he
sweet
gave
man.
him $200.
He's just a sweet old man. As soon as Richard is
I
like,
don't
it's
like
my
him.
car. He's giving him all this advice about like how to get his car fixed and like not get taken advantage of. He's like, this is where you should do, and like don't let him charge you more than 200, and like you got to go to this place because they'll find out like you're in college and not from here, and they're gonna like make you pay double. And like he's being so helpful to this kid who's lying to his face for money right now. Oh, I love him.
I don't like this professor. His name is Dr. Rowland. He's a psychology professor, and he's described as old, dazed, and senile.
But they say his senile manner is a facade. Like he's
and
actually
his personality is described as
like
a
he seems like
behavioralist.
he's really senile, but like he actually is like thinking under there, and it's like it's not genuine.
It says like he waits until like whoever he's talking to like drop or like have like an opening for him to like jump in and be like, actually blah, 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 and like stand over him and step on them. Which I don't like that. That's fucking rude and mean. He also seems like a lazy professor because he says he spends most of his time in the teacher's
I just
lounge.
like how nice he was.
And I feel like he just like doesn't. I feel like he just doesn't teach his. I just feel like he doesn't teach his students. Like he's there to like give his students information, but I feel like he doesn't teach. You know, like if he was born in like if he was like a teacher in the 2000s, he would definitely just like put on a fucking video and be like, "Yeah, this is what we're doing," and just like read the textbook, but not actually teach the textbook. And you're like, why did you make me read this if you're just going to read it to me right now?
And then,
class?
So Richard takes this money and he goes and buys just a couple like used fancy clothes so he can fit in because he's like, I'm gonna get into this fucking class, and he wants to look the part. And he.
Oh, I will say that everyone at the school dresses like more formal, like everyone. So. But not as nice as like the super rich kids and the Greek kids. The super rich kids are like always dressed up. There's also like the niche cliques, like there's described as like the hippie groups who are wearing like their colors and stuff. But everyone kind of like dresses nice. There's not a uniform, but they all dress pretty nice.
Like, so then he does all that and he's like, I'm gonna go back to Julian's office and I'm going to like get into this shit. So Julian answers the door and he calls him Mr. Pepin. This is not his last name. His last name is Poppin, right? Papin? I read it as Poppin.
Papin.
Either way. I know,
Papin.
I just read it as like an ah sound.
P-A-P.
Papin. I believe it, I just didn't
read it like that. That's how the author reads it.
Richard Poppin just sounds nice to me. Okay, he calls him Mr. Pepin, and Richard doesn't correct him. He goes with it, and he repeats it. He has a little bit of a conversation about this being Richard's last name, and Richard doesn't correct him. And then 2 pages later, at like the end of their conversation, when he decides to let him into the class, he goes, "I'd be happy to take you as a pupil, Mr. Papin." So he knew his correct name the entire fucking time, and I think he was testing him, and this gives me the impression then that he likes that he didn't correct him, because he likes to be the authority of his students. You get what I'm saying? Like, this goes with this whole thing that, like, he knows best.
Yeah.
He tested him right from the beginning there, intentionally, and Richard didn't correct him, and, like, he liked this.
I don't know why he did that. I thought that he eventually. Seriously, I don't
That's
know
how I interpreted this. Like,
I
noticed this, and like this, it stood out to me so much when I saw that he called him the right name at the end of the conversation, even though it is very clear that Richard never corrected him.
Yeah, I noticed that.
It fits with everything else we know about Julian.
He called him the wrong name at
first.
first.
He's calculating. Ugh, I have so many thoughts.
Yeah,
also, just while we're talking about Julian, everyone turn to page 36, please. I just really like this quote right before they start their first lesson, where Julian goes, "I hope we're all ready to leave the phenomenal world and enter into the sublime."
Also, his whole lecture from 36 all the way to,
oh my god,
I think like the end of the chapter.
The fact that when they talked about Greek history, I read those same books. When they're talking
so
about Xenophon and
amazing.
Thucydides, like, I read those in my Greek history class. Like, I know I've read the same shit they did, although they probably read it in fucking Greek, and they would think it's stupid that I read it in English, but I don't care.
I just want to say...
So many things are, like, jumping out at me now that I've read more, and I've only read 2 chapters, but, like, even the fact that I've read, like, 60 more pages than where we're currently at, I'm like, holy shit, like, things are standing out to me more now.
Yes. I just want you... I'm gonna read something to you, and I just want you to hold this.
Okay.
For the rest of the book. Okay? So, at the end of his lecture on page 42, he is describing this... this Greek idea. And everyone is kind of sitting there, like, mouth agape, just like listening to him describe this thing. And he talks about this ritual called the Dionysic ritual. And I just want you to keep that with you and hold on to it. And I put it on the map.
Cult. It's so weird.
But I can't. I just want you. It's an important plot point.
God.
That I just want you to keep with you. It has nothing. I don't think they're going to even talk about it until part 2. Or like come back to it, I guess. But I just want you to just
Richard is
have that.
Having his discussion with Julian, they talk about psychology, and Julian says that psychology is not a science. It's just like a modern way of talking about fate. And I think that's fucking stupid. They're different things. Yeah, I think that it's stupid to think that it's an equivalent of fate when, like, you can test psychology. Like, it's different than fate. And
yeah,
it follows all the science rules, and I don't know why he thinks that can't be a science when it's like you can like run experiments on it and shit like that. And like, I don't know. I thought that was stupid of him to say when he's such a smart man.
Yeah. Listen, I didn't go through 10 psychological studies last semester just for Julian Maurer to call psychology not a science. I had to sit in a room and sniff essential oils for an hour. Okay? Julian, psychology is a science, okay? Richard. Just some other, like, quick qualities about Richard. He suffers from insomnia. There's different points throughout the chapters that he is like, I'm staying up all night, like, reading, I can't sleep, like, all these things are... It's either, like, stress, or just, like, literally he's so tired that he can't sleep, or he's just, like, thinking about things. And he usually ends up, like, reading or going out or doing something. Or getting drunk and then passing out. I realized that we didn't go into...
Oh shit, yeah, we talked about the phones and then we got distracted. I thought this was a modern story written in a classical style because of how it was like, haha, these weirdos into the classics. Like, at first I thought this took place, like, now, and then I slowly, like, realized the lack of, like, technology and things, but, like, I was under the impression, like I said, that there were portable phones of some sort, so I was like, okay, maybe this takes place, like, in, like, the 90s, and then we get to the part where, like, they're like, yeah, I get my news, like, I read the newspaper and sometimes watch the news on the TV, and, like, they think that that's weird, and they don't know what's going on in the world. They didn't even know the moon landing happened, and it's like, no, and the other ones are like, no, the moon landing did happen, I saw it on the TV. And
no,
I
want to talk about that.
It on the TV? What do you mean you saw the moon landing? When is this taking place?
I want to talk about the moon landing thing. Only Henry thought the moon landing didn't happen. Everyone else defended Richard, being like, the moon landing did happen. And then Henry does not believe the moon landing happened, which is crazy for his character because he's so intelligent and, like, really wicked smart. But he doesn't believe the moon landing happened.
Does this take place in, like, the 70s? The 60s?
Is that, like, your... Give me like a definitive time period.
I think this takes place in, like, 1973.
Okay. When I first read this, I thought it was taking place in the 60s, like the late 60s. Yes. And I think I looked it up because there's no point in the book where they describe when this is happening. I think I looked it up, and the general census is early 80s, late 70s.
Yeah.
That's what everyone's kind of thinking about. But there's no, like, definitive
Which
time period that this is taking place.
is like a little bit after Dead Poet Society takes place, and is right around the time that the Marauders takes place. So this is fitting into my vibe very nicely. But I really thought when I started it that this took place like in like
Yes.
the modern
Beautifully.
day, and it was just like these kids who are into the dark academia aesthetic. Like they were just like old money kids who were like that. It's the Northeast, you know? I was just like, yeah, that's what old money kids in the Northeast are like.
I thought it took place in the 90s, and then I realized that they're only using landlines and like taxis and shit, and I was like, okay, this is definitely like the 60s vibes, because you were
Yeah.
talking about like wingtip shoes and shit, and I'm like, that's totally 60s. And then I was like, no, because they have like more modern stuff, like the way they're talking about things, there's like more modern things happening. So then I had to look it up, and I think it was between like the late 80s to like the the late 70s to the mid 80s.
Who should we talk about next? Francis.
Let's finish up Francis.
We are under
So
the way that he's written about right now.
Francis,
It seems like he's dating
the-
the girl twin. Although I guess you pointed out that that's not confirmed. It's just written as like we're supposed to assume that right now. They want us to assume that they're dating right now. Richard assumes that they're
Yes.
dating right now.
So yes, because
Yeah.
yes, from Richard's point of view, it seems like they're dating. Camilla and Francis are a little close. They're a little buddy. They're
Although
together
at
all the
first Richard
time, so
thought
he
he
assumes
was
they're
gay,
dating.
and then Bunny was like, Psh, "No, he's not gay."
Yes, see, that's why I think he kind of
I just thought
understood what
everything
he
else
meant
about him
by
gave gay. Like I just thought he just had a good
gaydar.
gaydar. Which honestly, Richard's got to be a little gay to pick up on that.
Hey.
He
Like
calls
I said,
every
the
single
sexual
character
romantic
handsome,
aspects of this book
like,
is the most terrifying
all the
thing I've
time.
ever read.
Like he goes on about how pretty the girl is, but
Hey.
like he also
Hey.
always points out how hot the men are, which is like why.
Did you see that TikTok I sent you where it was like 3 people? It was like 2 guys and a girl. And I was like, this could be either Camilla,
didn't watch
Charles,
that.
and Richard, or Francis, Camilla, and Richard. And it's like, go watch it. It's
Oh
like
my God.
2 hot guys and a girl, and I'm
Look.
like, this is literally them. So Francis
ginger.
Abernathy, he is
I feel like
ginger.
Didn't
Fellow
process
ginger
that.
myself. Yeah, he's ginger. I'm just gonna read what I have on the map about him. So he was, quote, described by Richard on page 18, the most exotic of the set. So he's definitely like giving off gay, giving off fruity. He's from Boston. He went to private schools, summers in Switzerland, and had winters in France. So he's super rich, travels all the time. I don't think they describe his dad in any way. His mom had him at 17 years old. His grandparents raised them as siblings. On page 8 describes that. Richard calls him like a mama's boy. He like loves his mom, talks to his mom all the time. He's described physically as angular and elegant, quote from Richard. He has thin and bony hands, as described in their first meeting with Francis and Richard. He has a shrewd, pale face, short, fiery red hair. Presents himself as a cross between, quote, a student prince and Jack the Ripper, because he dresses like Alfred Douglas, with starched shirts, French cuffs, and neckties, and he wears a long black greatcoat, which is so gay. I'm not gonna lie. If I saw this man, I'd be like, he's a little, you know. He's a hypochondriac, and I think in like chapter 2, the way like Francis and Richard really bond is Francis shows up at Richard's dorm and is like, hey, take me to the doctor, I have something wrong with me. So they go to the doctor together all the time, the dentist, and
Imagine
they usually
going to the
get
dentist
drunk before they go, which is crazy. And it also made me question it also made me question like the time period, because I was like, what time period could you go drunk to the dentist and the doctor at the same time? Like, how could you, whatever. So they get drunk, go to the dentist and the doctor, get some teeth pulled, and then like go off, and that's how their friendship would bond together. He is presumed gay by Richard. My idea is that he's most likely bisexual because he's also interested in Camilla, as from Pritchard's point of view that he and Camilla are dating. So that's pretty much everything I personally have with Richard.
I'm with
Francis, sorry. I forgot, I should really talk. I kind of want to talk about my lines here. So I have this map here, but so these lines connecting to Francis. So we got this this like teal blue line means they're related. So he's related to his countryside home. His aunt owns a countryside home about an hour outside of Hampton. It's described as, actually we don't really have a firm description of it. I'm picturing like an old kind of rundown house that's like painted white. It's described as presented with tall turrets and pikes with a widow's walk. That's on page 77. They have one or two caretakers. I believe it's a woman and a man. The man hates when they drink, so they have to hide all their liquor whenever they're out drinking. And sometimes Julian would come join them for dinner out in the countryside. But we'll talk about the countryside after years. Can we move on to Charles and Camilla. Charles and Camilla are identical twins. They're from Virginia. They were raised by their grandparents. It does say grandmothers. I don't know if they have gay grandmothers or if it's by their dad's grandma or their dad's mom and their mom's mom.
He's like so into the girl, and then is like, they're identical. He's like, the girl is so hot, they look the same. And it's like, dude, you're into men.
They're orphans. Their parents died in a car crash when they were really young. They're described as having heavy dark blonde hair with epicene faces. They wear pale clothing, mostly white. Quote, described as cheerful and grave as Flemish angels. I looked up what Flemish angels look like. They don't look cheerful at all, if I personally can say. And page 18, this is my favorite quote, their description about them, is they're described as long dead celebrants of a forgotten garden party. Like, that's what they look like. And I think that's the most iconic way to be ever described. I think that's such a beautiful description.
Pretty. They're both pretty in, like, a vintage way.
Yes. They're described. They said that they're the only twins in the college, in the entire college, which is kind of crazy. But then when you look at what I wrote about
our
Hampden
entire
College
graduating
itself,
class,
it only has 500 students. That's like, yeah, that was like our high school, like half of our high school, it's a really small college, like super tiny. Like, I feel like you know everyone. They live off campus. Yeah. The twins live off campus in an apartment together in Northampton.
The dinner.
Their apartment, I personally, right after I finished describing them, yes. I believe their apartment's giving grandma's house. Personally, like, the vibe is like vintage grandma, but like cluttered with books.
It has like weird hallways that go nowhere. It reminds me of that like Chicago killer house.
They're describing their apartment as like super dirty and cluttered, but not in like the dirty, disgusting way, as in like every surface is covered with an object of some sort, and there's not a single open space to place something. Like, every single surface is covered with a book, a plate, a piece of furniture, literally something. But I don't think it's like, actually I think it's a little gross, but not super gross.
I love Charles.
Little fun facts about Charles. He can play piano pretty well. And I believe He's just
Which
he's
is because
the closest
he's so good
to
with
Richard.
people. Like, he's very polite
I
to
think in
everyone and,
chapter
like,
2
can
at some
talk to
point,
anyone. So he's, like,
he-
the most, like, welcoming to Richard, which is nice, because Richard's kind of freaked out to talk to them.
Yeah, they hang out a lot and they chat a lot. And my favorite part about Charles is how in chapter 2 on page 95, he describes that ice cream floats are the best
Have you
hangover
tested this?
cure, which got me into
Does it work? He gave the science
eating
behind it and everything.
more
I was like,
ice cream
damn, I
floats.
gotta try
have,
this.
and it works. I will say it does work. He does. I'm gonna read it actually because I like it so much. Everyone, if you're hungover, go make yourself an ice cream float, okay? Preferably with a
Read the part where he explains the
caffeinated
science
soda.
when they're in the country house.
On the porch. Yeah. Charles closes the screen. Okay, so everyone's pretty much drunk. Francis and Richard are sitting on the front porch. Francis is eating oysters for some fucking reason. And Francis pushes the oysters over to Richard and he's like, here, eat these. I need to get an Alka-Seltzer. I'm gonna be fucking sick if I look at these. And Richard's like, no thank you. And Charles comes out and he's like, what you need is an ice cream float. And Francis is like, you and your ice cream floats, man. And Charles is like, they work, I tell you, it's very scientific. Cold things are good for the nausea. And the ice cream slows down your digestion, the Coke settles your stomach, and the caffeine cures your headache. Sugar gives you energy, and besides, it makes you metabolize the alcohol faster. It's the perfect food. And that makes so much sense. Like, every single aspect of the ice cream float
Objectively,
is
Charles
perfect.
is the best
and
character.
I have only been craving ice cream floats as my sweet treat.
Like,
Honestly,
so far,
yes.
everyone else does things where I'm like you're okay, but like you're a little bit of a bad person, and Charles is the only one so far where I don't think he's a bad person yet. I don't know. He gay.
What has Francis done? Charles is gay. Okay, the only thing that I can't tell you, but there's one thing that there's something that Charles does that
Does he fuck his
puts me
sister?
off. No, that I just can't like him
Oh,
normally.
That's my only guess.
I just can't tell you right now. I just can't say it. I can't. But I think objectively Francis is the best out of all of them. It makes me... Dude, I'm literally shedding tears right now. I can't. Okay, Camilla. Camilla is like the most beautiful person ever.
She's what?
Objectively, in the story. I did write down some page numbers. I just started listing a bunch of page numbers where Richard is just simping over Camilla. Yeah, there's 3 times, and I'm just gonna keep adding on to that. So we can keep looking back on that. She's described as having pale-colored iron eyes, radiant with sooty lashes. She has gold glimmer, glossy hair, warm as honey, and is loved by all the boys. So all the boys, like, kind of low-key have a crush on her. Even Henry. Actually, Bunny's like, yeah, she's pretty, but she's not my type of gal. But Henry does kind of like her too. And a major plot point that happens is there are group dinners every Sunday at the twins' apartment. And it's the 6 of them at the apartment. Julian...
It's the country house.
Is it so that Julian joins sometimes, or no? It's just at the country house. I think it's just them at the Sunday dinner. So the first time that they invite Richard to the Sunday dinner is, I think they're just like walking outside of his dorm, and then he calls to them, and then they go on a walk together.
Ravens?
And then they see a crow, or like a gaggle of crows.
They're like, look, it's us.
Ravens. And they're like, that's an omen. And they're like, what does that mean? Let me try and find it. 3 of them for 3 of us. That's an augury. I bet. An omen. Of what? Don't know. Henry's the ornithomthermaeus. The bird.
Yeah.
The bird
That's
diviner.
so funny.
What? Henry's a bird diviner. I should write that in. He's such an old Roman, he'd know. And then they invited him over for dinner.
Okay, the part where they invite him over to dinner, do you have the page? I want to talk about it. It's so weird. They
64.
like look at each other
64.
and then they're like, yeah. And then they like invite him over and it's like, damn, they're so twins. Like, oh my god.
I think they're kind of just like, they're kind of like,
yeah, but at that point I didn't know that we didn't know they had weekly dinners.
Join them yet.
So like it's just so funny. Like I just thought they were inviting him over for dinner. I didn't realize everyone else would be there. Because Richard didn't know that yet, so we didn't know that yet. So it was so funny to read. And now in hindsight, I understand that that's what was happening. But I don't understand the dinner. Richard didn't go into much detail. Like, he was just, like, feeling kind of sick and awkward the whole time. Like, he was anxious and, like, had a hangover. And he's, like, and then, like, he leaves. And then, like, the next day, no one, they all, like, they were all kind of trying to, like, become friends with him. And then they were all, like, ignoring him. And I didn't understand what went wrong at the dinner that made everyone, like, hate him. And then they invite him to the country house, like, 2 weeks later, and then they're all fine again. Literally, it says, I had certainly plenty to worry about besides the coldness which apparently had infected my classmates once again. Their crisp air of solidarity, the cool way their eyes seemed to look right through me. There had been an opening in their ranks, but now it was closed. I was back, it seemed, exactly where I'd begun. Like, why did they all hate him all of a sudden after the dinner?
Maybe because they had the dinner and then they realized that he wasn't ready. And they were like, fuck, we fucked up, so we gotta, like, distance ourselves again and, like...
They ignore him for 2 weeks, and he goes back to his old, like, ways and thinks about, like, dropping the course and all. And then that's when he overhears a thing, so that we'll talk about in a second. So then he doesn't drop the course. And then Camilla goes and finds him at, like, a frat party and is like, hey, we're about to leave right now for the country house. You're coming with us. And then that just starts happening, like, every single weekend, and then they're all chill again at the country house. And it's like, why are they fine again now? Nothing happened. I was just confused. Probably, I just feel like
it's because that they wanted
there's
to
so
try
much
again.
happening behind the scenes that I don't know about because we only get Richard's point of view.
And it'll...
Really?
all be revealed in part 2. All the questions that you're gonna be having now about the confusion in the plot and, like, not knowing things, they're gonna have, like, a huge, long...
That's crazy.
sit down chat with Richard and be like, here's everything that's been happening. And that, legit, I'm not kidding, when I read it, I, like, closed my book and put it away for a week. I, like, put it away and I was like, I can't.
The last thing the twins did that was confusing was on page 93, 92, 93, where he, like, overhears them at night, like, bringing back, like, muddy sheets or whatever, and they're like, like, they'll know, we gotta just say we lost them. And I'm like, did they bury a body? Like, I don't know. Why? What?
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck is happening? I have more questions from Chapter 2. That was actually my last question in Chapter 2, but we were talking about the twins, so I was like, yeah. Like, what are they gonna know?
Yeah.
What? It's just muddy sheets. Like, why is it a big deal?
I don't know. We're gonna have to read.
Anything else about the twins?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, no, that's all I got so far. Oh, actually, we can probably introduce, the how do I describe her? The most important minor character. Actually, the second most important minor character. Miss Judy Poovy. So we have Miss Judy Poovy.
I love her.
Who is from California. Me too. She is from California just like Richard, and that's why they became friends. And she's such an extrovert that she drags Richard everywhere, like to parties and stuff, and she wants to sleep with him all the time. She, like, tells her friends all the time, she's like, I'm gonna sleep with that boy, I'm gonna sleep with the boy. They have not slept together. I don't think they've ever slept together. She's a costume design major, and she's described as having a loud, screechy voice. She loves gossiping. Like, that's her entire fucking personality, just gossip. She's from LA specifically, and physically she's described as having wide clothes, frosted hair, and drives a red Corvette. that the license plate does say Judy P. I would
Yeah.
also sleep with her.
He doesn't like a California girl.
Hey, I think
I'll
he
take
likes
the
more of a
California girl.
calm, cool, and collective girl. No. The reason why I'm introducing her now is because the first time we kind of meet her is
Can we talk about that?
we see that Richard's going out on his date with Bunny. He's wearing we will, yes. Well, when we talk about Bunny, yes. Judy like sees him wearing this these old clothes and is like, "Hey, you can borrow my jacket." Also, I want to talk about the fucking jacket that he gave her. That she gave him. The jacket's described as silk ivory with green stripes. A ivory jacket with green stripes that's made of silk is probably the ugliest thing I've ever could picture in my entire life. I'm not gonna lie to you. And they both thought that it looked great. And I was like, really? Like, that seems like the ugliest fucking jacket I've ever... It's like giving Riddler. It's like Riddler core. I'm like, ew. Gross. So, I don't know what that is. But the first time we hear about Judy, she talks about how he's friends with Camilla and Bunny and, like, all the Greek kids. And she tells a story about how she threw a beer at Camilla at a party. And Camilla... she was, like, super drunk and started yelling at Camilla. And then Charles and Henry came over and were, like, gonna beat the fuck out of Judy. And Judy was like, "You can't touch me, I'm fucking drunk and I'm fucking great." And Charles and Henry were, like, gonna beat the shit out of her. But then this dude, this huge, like, 6'5", 300-pound dude named Spike came in and started defending Judy. And Henry and Charles started... beating up Spike. And this is the thing that, like, scares me about Henry. Because it says that, let me find the page. It's like 40, or 40, 47 maybe? 48. I'm 48. So Judy's like, so Spike comes up and sees two people abusing me. He shoves the twin on the shoulder and tells him to beat it. Before I knew it, the two of them, Henry and Charles, jumped on him. People were trying to pull that Henry off. Lots of them. And they couldn't do it. 6 guys couldn't pull him off. Broke Spike's collarbone and 2 of his ribs and fucked up his face pretty bad. I told Spike that he should have called the cops, but he didn't. He seemed he was in some kind of trouble himself and wasn't supposed to be on campus. It was a bad scene, though. Meaning, Henry is a strong guy. He's fucking tough.
Henry's terrifying because he's really strong,
6 people couldn't rip him off.
Also really smart.
A big dude. Yes. Like, he is a fucking serial killer. Like, I swear to God. Like, this man is terrifying. Also, it's like, she also says later on, a little farther down the page, it's weird, so Judy, I guess when uptight people like that get really mad, they get really mad. Like my father. And Richard says, yes, I guess so. And that makes me think that he has, like, anger issues of some sort. Like, he has kind of anger problems that he, really only knows how to get out physically. He's just so scary to me.
I'm so
Henry's
excited to get to
fucking
Henry.
terrifying. And I can't wait to just talk about Henry. But back to Judy. So Judy, the outcome of Judy is that Judy is hated by Charles and Camilla and Henry. They all equally hate each other. But she does like Bunny. She thinks Bunny's funny. And she's kind of friends with Bunny. She's also friends with this guy named Cloak Rayburn. Cloak is from California. That's how all the California people at Hampton kind of hang out with each other. Cloak is from California, and so Judy and Cloak are good friends. And then Bunny and Cloak are kind of best friends. Like, I'd say they're the closest. Bunny is Cloak's, like, closest friend, I guess. And I guess then we can move on to Bunny.
Oh my
and talk
God.
about John and Richards and
Everybody turn to page
Bunny's
43.
and get into who Bunny is.
This is the invitation to the date.
43.
Bunny puts
Richard, old man.
I picture him speaking
How
kind
do
of
you
like
how do you picture him
like a class clown would
speaking?
speak. Like he's just so like goofy compared to the rest of them. Like he's so like lighthearted. He doesn't take things as seriously. Like I like just his tone of voice says like not taking things seriously, like a class clown. And then but then he like talks he like old man, like just like the words he uses.
Do you want
so
to
it's
read
like
his note?
like
in the
kind of like
tone?
a geek class clown. Like, yeah, Richard, old man. What do you say we have lunch on Saturday?
Nerdy
Maybe about
clown.
1? I know this great little place. Cocktails, the business, my treat. Please come. Yours, Bun.
That's kind of it, but you just gotta do a more
like,
annoying
I believe
voice.
you. It's just not
he
how
has
I
an
read
annoying ass voice.
Real. So, what I want to know
Listen to
is
the
why
audiobook
has he
and see how the author does
capitalized
his
random
voice,
letters
'cause
that are
it's
not proper nouns?
Crazy.
And then I noticed he wrote SP instead of PS, which then
'Cause
later
that's
we
just
learned
the
he's
way
dyslexic.
He writes.
He also wrote meek instead of make.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote.
Well, actually,
he wrote meek instead of make.
Well, it says PS wear a tie.
Because the sentence is like, "I will make
SP,
you wear
it."
But then why? What is SP? I assumed it was meant to be PS. Oh. Oh, that's why he wrote meek.
Spelling.
That's why he wrote meek instead of make, and then he said that was a spelling problem. But then why didn't he just
I
rewrite
don't know
it
actually.
if he wrote it in pencil? It says he wrote it in pencil. I'm confused. But do you know why he capitalized random letters? I tried to figure out if it spelled a secret message, but it's all consonants. He's so fucking weird.
No, I just think that's how he writes.
Yeah.
Like if you translate handwriting,
I don't know. It just stood out to me.
It'd probably look like that.
So, page 47.
I think that just shows you a little bit of his personality.
Judy Moody is like, hey Richard.
Yes. I love her. That's how I picture
this girl compliments him,
Judy
goes, "You look cute today." All he says is thanks. That's gay. Anyway, she goes, "Got a date?" We know he's dressed up all cute to go see Bunny. That's gay. Then we turn to page 57. He's on his date with Bunny. And
well, he's trying to impress him.
They're talking about
poor.
like how Camilla's not his type in girls, and then he just goes, like, no, this wasn't needed to be said. He just goes, "Charles is a handsome fellow and a sterling character all around, but I wouldn't want to marry him, would I?" And I'm like, why did he say that? That's so fucking gay. Bunny. Page 57.
Wait, who said that? When was this? 57? Damn. Hold up. Let me read this. Let's see. Charles is a handsome fellow and a sterling character all around, but I wouldn't want to marry him, would I? I don't think any girls can really get away with it, but she certainly can't. She runs around half the time in her brother's sloppy old clothes, which maybe some girls can get away with it, but she can't. Looks too much like her brother.
Just being like, he's handsome and he has great character, and I wouldn't want to marry him. I just thought that was funny because he didn't need to say that.
I don't think that makes him gay.
Yeah,
because earlier he does say the F slur multiple times, and then the waiter gets mad at him.
Yeah, like this man's really homophobic.
And he does it so casually too. So the date he takes him to this like little like fancy restaurant, and he keeps talking about this like super fancy restaurant in California that Richard admits to us, not him, that he's never been there before. So like he doesn't understand any rich stuff that goes on in California because he's not rich. So he doesn't understand it. Richard and Bunny get super drunk and eat a whole bunch of food at this restaurant, talking about life, class, the college, until they're pretty much wasted. He talks about, he tries to get to know Richard, like, personally. But Richard kind of like dodges all the questions and like just avoid everything by asking him questions about his life. He asks about everyone else's, how we know that Charles and Camilla are orphans, and how Francis is like a mama's boy. And Henry, we get to know about Henry a bit more. Bonnie describes him as oh, this is how we know there's like a we get to know a secret about Henry. Henry was we haven't really talked about Henry yet, and we'll get into him. But Henry is described by Bunny at this moment, um, getting into a car. He's from St. Louis, and Richard is like appalled that Henry's from St. Louis because like St. Louis is fucking St. Louis. It's like Gotham City there, and so he's like, "How did he get so smart?" And Bunny says, "Well, he got in a bad car accident when he was really little, and he almost died, and so he was out of school for a couple of years, and so all he would do is lay in bed and read, and so he got to like read at a college level at a really young age, and so Richard was like, "He got hit by a car? What?" And so Bunny says that he doesn't like to talk about it, but you know the way he parts his hair over the right eye? That's because there's a scar there, and almost lost his eye, and he can't see too good out of it. And the stiff way he walks, he's sort of like a limp. Not that he matters. He's strong as an ox. There's another reference in like the same like 10 pages essentially of him being like super strong, which is scary. I don't know what he did, lift weights or what, but he's certainly built himself back up again. A regular Teddy Roosevelt overcoming obstacles and all. You gotta admire him for it. I mean, you take somebody like Francis, you ask me. He's as smart as Henry. Society boy, tons of money. He had it too easy, though. He's lazy. He likes to play. So Francis is kind of just like a casual classics reader.
Yeah.
Rich boy. I feel like Francis, he's kind of like hand out of everything. Whereas Henry kind of worked to where he is right now. And I'm kind of just going to say this now. We don't really know about Henry's home life ever. We do see that Bunny does mention his mom, Henry's mom, at some point. And she's kind of like Francis's mom, but a more elegant, I guess, more rich. A different type of rich. And we know that his dad's in construction, I believe. And that's how he's so rich. But other than that, we really don't know about really where he came from. So they go on this little date. They move forward. He talks about Bunny has a girlfriend. Her name is Marion. She's an early education major. She's from Connecticut. She keeps, quote, Bunny in line. She's very bossy, and she acts businesslike. She's long hair. She's blonde. She's blue-eyed, and she's short. She isn't fond of everyone else in the group, and that's described kind of later on in chapter 2 when they're at the country home. Because I think Richard's like, I think they tried to introduce Marion into the group, but then too many things happened, and then something, quote, catastrophic happened between her and Francis, which is weird. I don't know what actually happened. I truly don't remember if anything happened. I don't know.
Give me 1 second. I need to let my dog out of my room.
So that's kind of just like an open-ended question there. And so she kind of just like is thrown out.
I'm here.
I think one of my favorite things about this conversation is that when he's talking about how he like hates gay people or whatever, Richard's like, but what about Francis? And Bunny raises an eyebrow. That's nonsense. Who told you that? Nobody, just Judy Poovy. Well, I can see why she said that, but nowadays everybody's gay. Gay this, gay
They call
that.
me Mama's boy so much.
There's such a thing about an old-fashioned mama's boy. All Francis needs is a girlfriend. See, and that makes me think that that kind of confirms to me that Camilla and Francis aren't like a thing.
You're right.
Because Bunny's saying that Francis doesn't have a girlfriend currently, and he needs one. So that's why I don't think they're dating. But they do, like, this whole group is just like fucking each other. And then he says, "What about you?" And Bunny describes his own girlfriend as just a little thing with a little meat on her bones. Ugh, okay, ugh.
She's a real girl. She studies education. I read that
She's
and I was like, damn.
She's a real girl. Isn't afraid to wear a dress. She's a real girl, isn't afraid to wear a dress. Call me old-fashioned, but I don't care much for the brainy ones. Take Camilla. She's fun and a good guy.
I know, one of the boys is how he sees
as
her.
A good guy. And then Richard's like, yeah. Richard says she's really pretty. And Bunny's like, that she is. Lovely girl, I always say so, but just looks just like a statue of Diana in my father's club. All she lacks is the mother's firm hand, but still, for my money, she's what you'd call bramble rose, as opposed to your hybrid tea. Doesn't take the pains she ought, you know? And runs around half the time in her brother's sloppy old clothes, which maybe some girls could get away with. Well, frankly, I don't think any girls could get away with it, but certainly she can't. Looks too much like her brother. I mean, Charles is a handsome fellow and sterling character and all, but I wouldn't marry him, would I? See, this just, like, doesn't scream gay to me. It projects,
it's just so funny
I'm actually super homophobic.
That Richard's gaydar was like, Bunny gay, ? And then was like, oh, then like internalized homophobia, and then he's like, oh shit, no, he really fucking hates gay people.
He was on a roll and was about to say something, but then quite suddenly he stopped, his face souring as if something unpleasant had occurred. I was puzzled, yet a little amused. He was afraid he had said too much, afraid of seeming foolish. I was trying to think of a quick change of the subject to let him off the hook, but then he shifted in his chair and squinted across the room. Look there. I think that's us. It's about time. And then all their food came out. They got wasted, and then at the end of their conversation,
staring them down.
Bunny, they're like the last people in the restaurant, and the waiter's like literally like staring them down, being like, get the fuck out of here. And Richard's like, maybe we should get going. And then Bunny's like, oh yeah, and then pretends to check his pockets for his wallet. And then he says, I say, old horse, have you got... hate to do this to you, but why don't you stand me for this lunch? And then Richard's like, I don't have a cent on me. Bunny's like, neither do I. Funny thing, he seems to have left my wallet at home. Richard says, oh, come on, you're joking. Not at all. Haven't a dime. I'd turn out my pockets for you, but Twinkle Toes will see. He's saying Twinkle Toes is a gay slur there.
How much is that in today's money? If this takes place, let's say,
the bill was $287.59, and for the 80s?
Okay, can you
it's probably like
tell me the amount again?
$400
from 1975 to today. $287. Oh my god!
$287.
$287 in 1975. Oh my god!
It
says it's
without tip.
It says it's worth 1,714 today.
Do like 1980.
And if it's 1980, it's 1,119.
What?
Imagine someone invites you out to lunch and then is like, shit, I forgot my wallet. Can you cover
Holy
this time?
Fuck.
It's $1,000.
What did they... He's like, it's on me. He's like, I'm super rich and it's on me. And you're like, okay. And then you're hesitant of like ordering another drink. And he's like, no, it's on me. Like, take it. And then he orders all the food for you. And he like gives you a cigarette and cigar. And like, he's like, nah, like, let's go all out. And then he stiffs you, dude. I'm honestly surprised that Bunny didn't just leave. Because after that, he goes to call Henry. But he's gone for so long that Richard just thinks he left. And then Richard comes up, or Henry comes and picks them up. He drops off Bunny, and then he talks to Richard and is like, hey, I'm so sorry that what just happened. Like, he does this all the time to new people. And I'm surprised that he did it with you. Like, I'm really surprised he did it with you because we're trying to be friends with you. And Richard's like, no, like, he probably just forgot, like, it's totally fine, like, it's whatever, I'm really sorry, I'll pay you back. And Henry's like, no, it's not okay, like, he does this, he paid for the taxi, didn't he? And then Richard's like, yeah, he did pay for the taxi, wait a minute. And then this is like the first time he's realizing that Bunny, like, this event was, like, the first time he realized Bunny's, like, not really a good person.
Okay, I want to talk about this so much. Page
and this 61 is the first time
my favorite
you're
page.
also realizing
I love
that Bunny's
everything
not
about
a good person at all.
Henry on this page. And it's just so weird because up until now, Henry's kind of, like, scary. Like, he's, like, grilling Richard on the first day, like, trying to catch him in a lie, like, to, like, see if he's, like, worthy. And Bunny is, like, really laid back and fun. So it's, like, I like Bunny. He's, like, he seems, like, kind of charming and whimsical. And Henry's, like, seems pretentious and scary. And then this happens, and Bunny is, like, a fucking asshole the entire dinner, and then does this on top of it. And then oh my god. Then Henry, like, coming and covering and being so nice to Richard, it, like, Richard's like, fuck, I'll pay you back.
Yeah.
And he's like, I wouldn't dream of such a thing. It's his fault. Like, he's so nice.
Yeah, now you're like, okay, you switched it up. You realize Henry is, like, actually does care about Richard. And you kind of, you learn more about Bunny and Henry's relationship
Henry, like, hate each other because they seem to be pissed at each other all the time. And then they're like, no, they're besties. And
that's what Richard thinks too.
So the entire time, something we know about Henry is that, like, something he's really, really good at is figuring out, like, if someone's lying. And, like, Richard is, like, lying, like, about everything. And on page 84, he just is, like, he kind of just, like, clocks him. He goes, you're not very happy about where you're from, are you? And then Richard's like, fuck. And he just, like, smiles at him and goes, don't worry, you hide it very cleverly. The others really don't understand this sort of thing, you know? And then, like, he said it very neutrally, and then Richard is like, I understand something now that I didn't understand before, why the others were all so fond of Henry. And then, this is the part I didn't understand, the next, like, couple sentences. He goes, grown children veer instinctively to extremes. The young scholar is much more, how do you pronounce pedant? Than his perfect. Than his older counterpart. And I, being young myself, took these pronouncements of Henry's very seriously. I doubt Milton himself could have impressed me more. I didn't understand those sentences. Did you understand what was being said there?
I did mark them down as white, meaning important. Anytime that Henry or Richard kind of talks to us, like in parts like that, I marked down as white as important. There are points, if you look at Richard's section on the map, there's just a box
like,
of
it
page
says,
numbers,
like, I understand now everyone's so fond of Henry, but it doesn't exactly explain what that is. And is the thing, is everyone fond of Henry because he's, like, able to, like, tell the truth about you but not be judgmental about it? Is that it?
Kind of, yeah. But everything that he's kind of being...
And then just, what does that mean when he says, like,
vague
I'm a grown child, a young scholar, and I veer to extremes, which is why I liked Henry so much. What does that mean? I was like, I'm too stupid for this book. This book, okay, I read so much as a kid, and then whenever I encountered a new word, I would take out my little iPod Touch, and I would spell it out to Siri, and I'd be like, what does this word mean, and how do you say it, or whatever. And I would do that so much as a kid, and it has been I know a lot of words because I read so much, even though I don't know how to pronounce them. I know them, and it has been a long time since I've read a book where I had to pause and look up words, and I've had to do that multiple times reading these 2 chapters. Like, I will like circle a word because it's like a big word and I've never heard it before, and I have to look up what it means, and it has like
Yeah.
a niche definition, and it's like I feel like a little kid reading a book because I'm like, ooh, new word. What is it? I have to look it up.
Yeah. I had to do that too. There's some things he does say and I'm like I have no idea what this really means, and sometimes it does
Oh,
solve
did we
itself
talk about
in the
Henry
later
talking to
chapters
Julian
because
yet?
right now we are just missing like a huge piece of the story.
Oops. Yeah, we're like we're crossing the bridge from Bunny to Henry.
No, we haven't talked about Henry at all, but we're about to. I do just want to like go over just like the qualities of Bunny. So, confirmed first sentence of the book, Bunny dies. We know this from the very beginning. So, we're kind of just figuring out and waiting how and why Bunny dies. That's what the whole story's about. Why and how Bunny dies. Bunny is described as a sloppy blonde boy. He's between 5'10" and 6'2". He's a little shorter than Henry. Henry, I believe, is like 6'4" or 5, which is tall. And I think that's crazy because the moment that you're talking about is I like clocked it like it's one word, but it's like Julian looks up at Henry, which means Henry's taller
Mm-hmm.
than Julian, which is crazy, I think, because I just pictured Julian or Henry as like super tall, like crazy, crazy tall. I don't know. I just don't picture Julian as a short guy. But Bunny's between 5'10" and 6'2". I believe he's pretty tall. He has sandy hair parted to the left, covering his eyes. He has rosy cheeks. He has a relentless, cheery demeanor, and he's a loud, hunking voice. Certified yapper, quote from me personally. Um, I would say that he's a very offensive person, like all the time. I don't think he has a filter at all. He's homophobic. I believe he's racist, and I will say right now that he
It's
is
just crazy because at
an
first I'm
anti-Semite.
like I like him the most out of all like the
He's just a
students,
horrible
and
person.
that
I'm gonna say
lasts
that.
for like 3 pages. Like he's so like charming
Me
and
too.
like whimsical, and then it's just like, oh my god,
Yes.
this is an asshole so fast, and it's so funny because it switches with Henry, like complete
Yeah.
flip flop, and now I'm like, oh my god, I love Henry.
Yeah. And I will say,
Jesus.
yeah. Yeah. And I will say, Bunny never redeems himself ever. He never gets better. He only gets worse. He physically is described as wearing a brown shapeless jacket, frayed, too small tweed jacket with these boring pants. Um, he has learning difficulties, and he started learning Greek to help with it.
He's studying
He's
it
been
the
studying Greek for
longest, yeah.
12 years, I believe it said. And he's still the worst at Greek out of all the people here, even though he's been learning it the longest. Um, he's from New York. He's the son of a Clemson football player turned banker president. He has asthma and takes medication that makes him irritable, which is probably some of the reasons why he's so unfiltered, I guess. Um, and this is a quote relating to that on page 94. This explanation, oh, this is a quote I want you to keep in mind. Just in the back of your head for reasons. Reasons. Quote on page 94 about Bunny relating to his irritableness. This explanation for Bunny's crabbiness at the end of the term was due to entirely different reasons. So, the end of the term in the timeline, because I believe at the end of chapter 2, we're around, I want to say, like, it kind of jumps around a lot. Like, he describes, like, fall, but also winter, but I believe we're around,
Yeah.
like, November, I want to say, in where we ended at the end of chapter 3. Because we're going to get into December
And Bunny dies in the winter,
at the
right?
start of chapter 3.
Is it like this
But
winter
I
or
just
the
want you to
next
keep
winter?
that in mind. I mustn't say. I'm not gonna say.
I already did. Don't even
I'm not
worry.
gonna say. But just keep this quote in mind. Like, highlight it. Bunny has 4 brothers, no sisters. I would describe him as the classic obnoxious, preppy, rich kid. Not to confuse Henry with, Henry's like the rich kid. Like the rich kid. He's more rich than Bunny somehow. Bunny spent a lot of time in boarding schools, which is where he met one of his closest friends, Cloak Rayburn. Cloak Rayburn is a druggie. He does drugs a lot. He sells drugs, does stuff like that. And Cloak and Bunny met in Pennsylvania at a prep school. They became friends there. And then they ended up going to college together. He's dating Marion. We already described her. So I guess now we can move on to our last character. I'm so excited. Mr. Henry Winter. I'm just going to describe him physically, and then we can go and describe him within the plot. Henry Winter is at least 6'2". His dark hair covering his eyes. As I mentioned, he had that car accident when he was a kid, so he has a limp and a scarred eye, which is why he covers one of it. He's a square jaw with coarse, pale skin. He's always expressionless. He's never impressed by anything. He's kind of rude when he talks to people. He's sassy and irritated by, I don't know why, but by... I feel like there's an unfinished thought that I don't remember what it was. And he's super secretive. He's honestly just as secretive as Richard is about himself. He's super tough. He fought a guy, Spike. He broke his ribs and collarbone, as I described earlier, leading to maybe possible anger issues that he has. This will not be the end of the violence that we know that Richard is capable of. I will say that. He's a linguistic genius. He knows 8 languages and published translations of a few books in different languages. I believe his first published was like at 18. Of a book in Latin or Greek or something. And when he was like hanging out with the group, I believe it's mentioned when they're in the countryside house, where him, Camilla, and Richard were all out on a boat. Richard says that Henry often goes off and trails onto monologues about like books and stuff that he's been reading recently. He's from St. Louis, Missouri. I said previously, he actually never completed high school. I wish I wrote down which page number it mentioned that, but I think Bunny said that he never completed high school. His father works in construction. His mom is similar to Frances. She's a boy mom. Henry's not a mama's boy. I feel like he's very, he kind of like rejects his family. He kind of keeps a distance from her and his dad, but his mom is definitely a boy mom for sure, 100%. Quote on page 18, Richard says he is handsome if his features had been less set. He wears round steel-rimmed glasses, dark English suits, and carries an umbrella. Right above this, I put some headcanons in. I thought he reminded me of Bruce Wayne, but more psychotic and hates people. But then I put right next to that, actually he's more like the Penguin. And if you know anything about the Penguin, this is literally the Penguin, except the Penguin's actually short. And the only contrast is that Henry is 6'2". And I do believe this isn't mentioned anywhere, but I think this is kind of just like a fan headcanon that everyone's kind of just agreed on, and briefly mentioned by Bunny like once later in the movie.
What did he say that was anti-Semitic?
I relate to him as an anti-Semite, but a lot of people believe that Henry is
makes
Jewish
him anti-Semite?
And the what?
Okay.
He'll say it like later on. It's like a very brief thing. But it's like later on. He says something about like money and shit. But the Penguin's Jewish, and so that's why I relate him more to the Penguin character rather than Bruce Wayne. So I just like picture him as the Penguin, literally, because he carries on a fucking umbrella and has a limp. He lives in a house outside of campus. We get to go see his house later on in the book. He doesn't believe the moon landing, as he said at the first dinner at the twins' house. Bunny and Henry were roommates freshman year. That's why they're so close. And I forgot to mention that Bunny is the only person that can make Henry laugh, which is crazy.
Oh,
because
his
at the
laugh,
end
like,
of chapter
haunting?
2, like the very last sentence of chapter 2 is oh my gosh. Yeah, he says the last paragraph is, out on the lawn, Bunny had just knocked Henry's ball about 70 feet outside the court. There was a ragged burst of laughter, faint but clear. It floated across the back evening air. The laughter haunts me still.
This it's just like, we're not there yet. We'll finish talking about characters, but something's happening and I don't know what.
And you don't know what. You don't know what. Roommate. So Bunny says that Henry hates noise, company, and mess. He would never let Bunny like invite girls over or whatever. He literally like wanted to be isolated always. I also forgot to mention that Bunny likes to play Philip Jones Sousa marches all night, like often, like at full blast, and so I think that also irritated Henry and why he moved out into a house on his own. But Henry does often go out of his way to help Bunny, and you'll see this multiple times throughout the book, that Henry will literally go out of his way to help Bunny, to like do things for him. And I did connect this with Bunny asking for money all the time. Because Bunny does ask for money all the time. And you'll see this later on.
Right? It goes with it.
Which makes sense that you think that Bunny is secretly poor as well. I did write down Henry is... It does. I will not say anything. I just added that Henry's, quote, the bird diviner. I don't know what that means or what it's connected to, but that's what the twins say about Henry on page 64. And I think this is what you want to talk about on page 71. It's where Julian and Henry are talking, and Henry's like, should I do what's necessary?
Right there.
And Julian is like,
my orange tab.
do what you think is necessary.
An orange one should go here. Yeah. I mean, I want to talk about a couple things, but yeah, this is what I want to talk about next.
Is that what you wanted to talk about? Okay. Okay.
So
that's just pretty much
everyone was
everything
being
that we
really
know about
cold to
Henry
Richard after the
currently.
dinner, and for like no fucking reason, and he's like,
so far,
shit, this isn't working out. Like, it was kind of stupid to drop all my classes to take classes with one guy in the classics. Like, I was just like really obsessed with this group, but it's like, it's not working out. It was a really impulsive, dumb decision. I'm gonna go drop this and talk to him because he's my counselor. And he overhears Henry and Julian talking, and it says that Julian's brow was furrowed and he looked very somber, as if he were saying something of the gravest importance. And Richard assumes they're talking about him, and I also assumed they were talking about him because everything was just about him, and I was like, why? Like, the page before, I'm like, why don't they like him all of a sudden? So I thought they were talking about him also. But Julian takes both of Henry's hands in his own. Oh my god, this is so weird. Henry goes, should I do what is necessary? And Julian takes both of his hands and goes, you should only ever do what is necessary. And then Henry kisses Julian on the cheek, and then Richard is like, I can't be caught hearing this, so he like runs away. And this goes back to the prologue. The prologue, we find out that Bunny is dead and that Henry has a plan
what the hell is going
related
on?
to this. So I'm like, is this related to murdering Bunny? I don't really know. We don't know enough for me to know, but that's the connection my brain is making. And also, so something's happening there that we don't know about, but also something is just happening with the entire gang squad that Richard is not included in, and this is all page 91.
Gang squad.
It's just like there are things going on without Richard, and like
91. Oh my god, I forgot to mention.
What?
So, about the... Okay, important plot point that I wanted to mention. So they have... If you look at my map, or whatever, if you look at a countryside home, all the way on the far left, right next to it is the white squares, that says weekends at the countryside home. All the white points, all the white, octagons are important plot points, that I have put down and connected to people, events, whatever, places. Right underneath that, it says they're always exhausted. They're always exhausted, and under Francis' countryside home, it says they play mild sports, lunch around and read, swim in the lake, sleep, and get drunk. Like, that's all they do. But somehow they're always exhausted?
Well, he
like,
said that he just, like, attributes it to them being drunk, right?
The things that they're doing wouldn't make them that way. You know what I mean? Yes. But also, a thing that I would like to read on page 91 is they have dinners at the countryside home whenever they're out there, and sometimes they invite Julian. And whenever Julian comes, they always, like, dress up, they always, like, make the house pretty, they always present themselves better than they're actually feeling.
I'd assume
always,
they want
exhausted.
Julian to,
and
like,
they're always
think
nervous
highly of
when
them so
Julian comes
badly.
by, which is interesting. But it basically reads, yeah. There's a recurrent scene from those dinners that surfaces again and again, like an obsessive undercurrent in a dream. Julian, at the head of the long table, rises to his feet and lifts his wine glass. "Live forever," he says, and the rest of us rise too and clink our glasses across the table like an army regiment crossing sabers. Henry and Bunny, Charles and Frances, Camilla and I. "Live forever," we chorus, throwing our glasses back in unison, and always, the same
That
toast.
reminded me of how
Live
this
forever.
is, like... Okay, the live forever thing's crazy because the book starts with us knowing that Bunny
And I
dies,
think that's
like, very
one of my favorite
soon
quotes in this
after
book.
this. Well, I'm assuming... Again, I don't know how old they all are yet, but I just am under the impression they're all, like, 21 years old.
Yes.
And so, like, that's just, like, eerie. It's eerie that, like, that's the... They're studying the classics, They're studying all these dead people, and then we know that one of the 5 of them are gonna die soon, and then, like, the motto is live forever. Like, that's eerie. But then it reminds me of Dead Poets Society, because it's kind of like the opposite of the message in that movie, which is, like, it's like, you are going to die one day, you should seize the day while you can. And this is, like, the opposite of that, which is interesting.
Yes.
Are you proud of me? Am I interpreting this book how you wanted me to?
Yes. I'm so excited. Yes!
Yeah, you're doing a really good job.
And I'm, like, trying to, like, kind of lean you in the right direction, but I'm trying
No, you're doing
to, like,
such a good job. Like, I can't.
And I feel like you think that
everything you're saying just sounds like neutral
I've
commentary.
been, like, kind of spoiling a few things, but trust me,
Are wrong.
I'm not. Like, I feel like the few things that I've like the things
You're making me feel like they all have an orgy and then, like, Bunny dies one day and they find his body and they're like, shit.
The actual
that's like
things
that's
that
what
are going to happen.
it feels like you've leaked. And I'm like, that can't. Certainly, that is not the plot of this.
Oh my god. Hey, it's a possibility.
Yes.
It's not right. Hey. We should write down our predictions, and is that
I
what
know,
your
it's sad that
prediction
you can't
is?
predict because of that. You've already read it. But I feel like I've shared a lot of my predictions.
I can't
like,
put
how
down
I'm
a
interpreting
prediction
because
because I know what happens.
But thank you. I'm reading this book, like, very intentionally. Like, I'm not just, like, reading it, like, for enjoyment.
you're doing great.
I'm, like, studying this book.
Yes. It's hard for me to read something so intensely,
like,
the first time I'm reading it. Usually I just read
it's
it
kind of, this dynamic
as,
is
like,
kind of
face
fun.
value,
Like,
and then I have to read it
like,
a
you know
second time
everything, and then
to
now
really
we get to, like,
dive
look
into
back
it,
and see
and I'm
what's
glad
important,
that I'm
and
not reading it for the first time
like,
while doing
you
this.
can follow along with the podcast with me reading it for the first time. This is, like, a nice dynamic for this.
Yes. I also think it's nice because you're definitely smarter than me in the literary
We're
sense.
equals reading this because I'm
and
smart
having
at
this
reading,
like
and
step
you've read
above
this
you
before.
kind of puts us as like an equal standing, so we can both talk about it.
That's really great.
Yes. So
I'm like,
I
every time they
am
reference
now
something
reading
that's
it
like
as
in
deep
pop
as you
culture,
are, and
I like underline
I'm
it in my
understanding
pen. That's
things
like
better the
mostly,
second
I'm mostly
time.
highlighting this book, but I use my pen a little bit, and that's like what I'm using my pen for, is like new words and pop culture references, because I feel like those are placed intentionally to like relate to the characters or the situations that are happening. Like they talk about how Richard likes to read The Great Gatsby, and yeah, and I'm like, that's so interesting because like Gatsby's really rich, and they kind of have like also like a kind of homoerotic relationship.
Yeah, that's his
And
favorite book.
like it's one of my favorite classics. It's not my favorite like book, but it's one of my favorite classics.
Isn't
I
that
did,
your favorite
and
book?
I'm like, that's so interesting from like a storytelling perspective because Gatsby gets
yeah,
murdered,
yeah.
and like
I
he's
read that
rich,
and I was like, oh, I kind
and
of love
like
that part.
it's like there's just a lot of layers to that book, and it's also that book is like this where there's like not really a plot.
Yeah.
Like it's very like slice of life, like things happen, but there's not like a straightforward plot line. And it's like I just like immediately was like, what are the implications of this being his favorite book? Like how does that tell me more about this book? And I like analyzed the fuck out of it. But what I wanted to analyze was page 92. Page 92. Everyone turn there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. See,
Okay.
I know what's up. Bunny had a maddening
I
habit
marked
of
it as
breaking
white,
out
so it
into
must be
choruses
important.
of "The Farmer in the Dell." I found it merely annoying and could not understand the violent agitation to which it provoked the rest of them.
Yes!
Not knowing then,
Yes!
as I do now, that it must have chilled them all to the bone. I don't know why the fuck him singing "The Farmer in the Dell" is bone chilling. So I was like, should I look up the lyrics to the song? Is it in the lyrics? It's not in the lyrics?
Okay. No. So, it'll relate to the plot. I feel like this is the most
The farmer in the dell,
like direct thing that Richard has said so far, like to like as a narration.
What
that
on
relates
earth
to the plot?
Could possibly, what even a
like,
little
no, you're
bit
not gonna understand
would
it if
make
you
it so
analyze
that
it right
this
now.
is bone
You'll
chilling?
understand it
What's
later
a dell?
when everything is revealed. No, listen. No. You can't analyze it right now.
But
like
if
it'll make
if it's
zero sense right now.
If
it has nothing to do with the lyrics.
If it's something that already makes
you just
the
have
others
to place it on the side
agitated and provokes them, then it's something that they already know about Bunny that Richard doesn't know yet about Bunny, right? So does this relate?
Yes.
Is he really?
Well, it's not about Bunny. It's that Bunny knows something about everyone else. And he's mocking them. Bunny had a maddening habit of breaking out into a chorus of Farmer in the Dell.
Is this
the violent agitation? So everyone was agitated.
Is this
whenever
related
he would
to the thing that is
he
making Bunny have a bad mood or whatever that we don't know about yet?
Kind of, yes.
I'm so confused. This is the part that's like driving me crazy. Is like I know that this is telling me something significant and I can't make any sense of it. There's nothing I can do. And
you can't until probably chapter 5.
That drives me crazy.
Yeah, there's literally nothing you can put together until it literally says it. Like, you can have suspicions leading up to it, and then they're gonna say it, and you're just gonna go, I knew it! And then you're gonna fucking read it, everything about it that they're gonna say. And then you're gonna be like, holy fuck.
I know I'm only 2 chapters in, which, to be fair, 2 chapters is over 100 pages.
Like the first 5 chapters.
This is like my new favorite book. I'm obsessed
with
the writing style, the plot. Like, I really am so into this.
Yes.
This is the best thing I've read in like a minute. And I've read some good books this year.
Yes, me too. Yes, me too. I want
Like,
to say this was sitting on my
yeah,
shelf
keep talking.
for probably 5 months before I decided to pick it up. I It was mostly because I don't know why I didn't pick it up, but it was always like in the corner of my eye, and I was like, maybe I should read it, maybe I should read it. But because of how long it is and how kind of dense I heard it was, I was like, I'm trying to save this because I've been trying to read it, build up my my reading endurance. Um and I'm happy to say that I can read like 800-page books now, which I'm pretty proud of because last year I couldn't read a book longer than 300 pages. Um but reading this book honestly really helped me a lot because it's so
His
thick
pacing is magnificent.
and slow.
The writing style
But
really
reading
reminds me
this,
of
I
Stephen King
literally
with how it's like
could not put it down.
dense but
I
like
love it
captivating. It's not like
so
dense
much.
and
I'm not even
boring
kidding.
like
This is my
John
new favorite
Steinbeck
book.
or something. Like it's not like I'm reading The Grapes of Wrath. That's wordy and like ridiculously
Yes.
boring. Yeah, and I love The Tale of Two Cities. That's probably my other favorite
Yes,
classic as like a story. The way I
John
feel about
Steinbeck.
classics is I hate reading
Or
them,
like
but
The
as soon as
Tale
I'm
of
done
Two
with them, I'm like, oh my
Cities.
god, that was beautiful. Like I love the story, but I hate the process of reading it, and that's how I feel about The Tale of Two Cities. But
Yeah. Wait a minute.
oh my god, that would
I
make sense.
think
Do you
I
like not
think
like the
you
process of
like
watching it, but
boring
like them like
classics in the same way
when they're
I
done
like
for
boring
like what it
plotless
did?
movies.
Is that it?
Kind of. I don't know, cause
Mm-hmm.
like some movies I'll watch and I'm like, okay, this is kind of boring, and then I'll like do something, or I have to be like in this
Like
specific
I hated
mindset
reading
and
The
like
Tale of
watch
Two
it in the
Cities.
correct
I
setting.
love The Tale of
So
Two
maybe
Cities.
if
That
you
is
like
an
read the
incredible
book
book.
in like the correct
I
setting,
like
I don't know how that
like
would be
I feel like I couldn't read it
good.
again because it was so much. But like I want to read it again because it was so great.
I think I definitely feel that way about some boring
But like
plotless movies where I'm like, that was the most amazing thing
just like
again, but I don't think I
how
can watch it for
beautifully
like
this
another
is
5
written
years.
reminds me of when I'm reading it
I
is
think I
like
feel that way about
wow,
some
I can't
movies.
believe like a human wrote these words. That just sounded so beautiful. And
Yes.
it's like it's dense, but it's not dense in a boring way. It's dense in like a beautiful way that captures your interest.
Yes. Yes. That sounded so weird.
I
I
already
think
talked about my favorite characters and parts, and I
I
just
think
gave
I
my
went over
impression of it.
everything.
So yeah, I feel like this book should be a classic. Like this book, sh- I'm really curious as to how current books, like what current books will become future classics.
It definitely will become a classic.
Because there has to be a couple of things going on. It has to be a good book, and it has to be well known enough to be a classic at the same time.
I This is definitely well known enough. For sure.
Fuck? I mean, probably the Northeast. Again, with the Stephen King
I
vibe,
want you to
Stephen King
guess
always writes stories that take place in the Northeast because he's from there.
where this author is from. She did go she did go to college in Vermont, which is where this takes place. And I will say it's been a speculation since this book's come out whether or not it's based off of real events. And I think recently there has been some things that have said yes, it is based off real events, and that these characters are based off of real characters that she went to college with, and that I think that some people went and interviewed the people that these characters
Can
are based
we
off,
look at that for our
and the
last
way that these
episode where
people
we like do like an
responded
overview? Write
fit their
that down.
character perfectly. The ones that wanted to give the interview. Yes. Yes, where we can research whether or not they are real or not. But she went to Bennington College, which I believe is what Hampton is based off of. It's a private nonprofit college in Vermont. It looks
Oh, I picture it like
old
a
and
like you know how
rundown.
Northeastern
And
colleges are so much
honestly,
older than other colleges
this
because
is not what
oh
I
my god,
pictured
I picture
Hampton
it
looking
so
like,
pretty.
but I kind of get the vibe.
Oh, that's what I'm picturing.
Yeah.
Oh, that surprises me.
Let me tell you, Bennington is nothing like that. This author is from Mississippi. Yeah, and when she's reading the audiobook, I love her voice. And her accent is so wonderful. I can't even describe the way she speaks is so satisfying to my ears. I love it. I love it. I love you, Donna.
Oh yeah,
Tartt.
that sucked.
You're honestly, I would say, my new favorite fiction author. Because my last favorite fiction
Gotta like
author got
women
fucking
authors,
canceled
man.
for sexually abusing women, which is a fucking disappointment.
Have you read any of her other books?
Because men be men, you know? And I do now. I have the Goldfinch. It's sitting on my shelf, and it's massive.
Wow.
Like, it's huge.
I didn't know that.
Like, the book itself is probably 2 times the size of The Secret History. Lengthwise, not lengthwise, but literally, like, width and height-wise. Like, it's like a fucking dictionary. So, I don't know, it's kind of intimidating, not gonna lie. And I am planning on reading her other book. She has another one, called The Little Friend that I want to read. 1992.
Wait, what did you say? I thought this came out recently.
So no wonder there's no fucking cell phones in
about
it.
so much recently.
This book came out in 1992.
Who found this and like made it go viral?
No.
Like who found this?
Yeah, I think it's because of the youngins found it.
I just like imagine like making a book go viral.
I don't know. I think it went viral on like
a book that's
Talk
like 30
a
years
couple
old.
years ago.
Like that's crazy. Yeah.
I don't think it was found. I think it's been popular forever. But kind of just like under the radar, you know, because it came out so long ago.
Wow.
That people just like forgot about it, and so they're like, "Hey, you guys should read this book again. It's so good." And then a bunch of people started reading it again.
Mine's Henry
final
with
thoughts?
a dash of Charles.
I guess I didn't say my favorite character. I think my favorite character is Henry currently. Henry with a dash of Charles. I think that's where I'm at too. I do like Camilla. I like her attitude, and I like her personality. Hate Bunny.
I feel the same way.
Hate Bunny. Julian, I like him, but I'm also suspicious of him. Francis, I'm kind of neutral about. He's chill. He's kind of just there. He's not really important to the plot currently. Richard's chill. I think I like Henry and Camilla.
Who are you most attracted to in this
Both
book?
platonically and sexually.
And however you want to
Oh
interpret
god.
the
Sexually?
question. You would fuck the entire class.
Shit, man. Just fucking line them up and send them
Let
in.
me look at the map. Hold on.
I would fuck everyone on this map, except for the teachers.
Gotta.
I'd honestly... Listen,
I need
I
to read
think
their
I'm most attracted
descriptions
to
again
Henry.
because I picture them in my head
'Cause he's
based on their
a fucking
personality.
beast
Like I
of a
invent
man.
a look for them based off of their personality, but that look is not how they're literally described. So I have to go back and read your descriptions.
Yeah.
Cause like Francis should have like long dark brown
The
hair.
first time I
not short
read it,
red
I
hair.
forgot
You know
about
what
the
I'm
descriptions
saying?
and I pictured them so differently. I always picture whenever someone's mentioned as ginger, I'm like, yes, you're ginger forever in my brain. So Francis has always been ginger to me. He's always been like tall and slender, and he's kind of had just kind of like a mop on his head. For me, that's what I'm surprised about.
Yeah.
Bunny's always had like long, shaggy hair.
You know
Bunny,
what? The twins. That's who I'm
Bunny's
picking.
blonde. That you're attracted to?
Listen, he can make an ice
I
cream
think I'm
float and
into
he can play
Henry
the
and
piano.
Camilla.
Sign me up.
And then I guess also Charles, because they're identical.
Exactly.
That's all you know. That you're sold on those 3 basic aspects that really never tell you about his personality or anything.
I feel like this book has said a lot of nothing. Like I just read 100
we don't really
pages
even
and I
know
don't know
much
anything.
about Charles and Camilla's like personality.
And it was
really.
beautiful. I enjoyed every
like,
second
who
of
they
it.
are as
I know
people.
nothing.
Yes. Yeah. It's like you know. Yes. 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 Yeah, I think my favorite character is Henry and Camilla. Mostly attracted to Henry and the twins. But honestly, line them up and send them in, okay? One by one or all together, I don't really care.
I hoping we get to see more to understand the relationship between Henry and Bunny.
Okay.
I really don't know what the plot could possibly be. Like, I don't know what could happen.
Okay.
I have no idea what could happen in 3 and 4. The book is over.
You really don't until you know.
Give me a little sneak peek. Next time on Telly Productions.
It's a whole lot of nothing. More just knowing nothing and witnessing almost something, but then never getting clarity in it just being
my God.
Something you missed and you'll never know context until later on. I will say you probably won't get any context to anything until about chapter 5. Like 3 and 4 is just gonna be a whole lot of
he's gonna walk in and
accidentally walking in on something and then never getting context. And you're just like, what just happened? And you're just like, I'll never know. Hey, you never know.
I believe it. If you told me that's what
That
happened,
might be
I'd be
the
like,
whole
yeah, that
plot
tracks.
That they have a giant orgy and then they accidentally kill Bunny in the orgy and then just throw him off a cliff. Hey, I don't know. Honestly, okay, I will say that there's one aspect of Bunny's murder that is left unsaid at all.
What?
And I think it's gonna be a fun debate to talk about once we get there. And I think it's at like I think it's like at the beginning of chapter 6.
Oh, I'm excited.
Also, I think you're gonna love the first sentence of chapter 6. Don't read it now though. Or the first page, I guess.
Got me excited.
Maybe the first couple pages you're gonna love. Yeah. I'm just gonna say chapter 5, I think you're gonna like a lot of closure for all the questions you have.
I have all the questions. I don't understand.
Well, thank you guys for listening to this episode of our first episode of Book Talk, I guess. Starting about The Secret History, one of my favorite books, now your favorite book. I am so excited to see what is going to happen and see how you react to everything because I know what happens and you don't, and I'm so excited.
You must be really enjoying like getting to follow along.
People react to the
things
that I love, and I'm so excited to talk about this.
Me too.
And
I get it.
I'm loving everything. I'm loving everything about it, and I'm so happy that you understand it and that you get it. You get what's happening. But thank you guys for listening. Hopefully you made it through this. If you did, I love you. Listen to our other episodes. Listen to our other podcast episodes. We can. And watch our videos. I don't know, maybe maybe like and subscribe if you'd like, if you want to, only if you want to, but maybe if you want to. And yeah, tune in next week for chapters 3 and 4. Bye.